Live from Austin, Texas, with host Rosie Newberry. Local trends, shopping, and more. This is Studio 512.
Good morning, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us today for Studio 512. You just saw a sneak peek there. Somewhere over the rainbow, Zach Theater is taking you to the Emerald City with its production of The Wizard of Oz. Here to tell us more today are someone who wants a brain, Rafe Gillum, and someone who's wishing for a heart, Connor Coughlin. We're happy to have them both in the studio. Y'all, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being here. We're so honored to have you down here in Texas because you guys are big New York talents that we paid a little money to bring you down here for, so I know that y'all are triple threats. I'm excited to hear a little bit more about it. But Rafe, let's talk about what it is like being part of such an iconic show. I mean, I can't even remember when The Wizard of Oz came out. It came out in Technicolor. Was it 49?
39.
39. Whoa. Yeah, been a minute. But you know, it's really part of the zeitgeist right now, right? Because we're talking about Wicked, the second half of the movie's coming out. The Wiz, of course, has been a spin on that as well. Yeah. So the original Wizard of Oz is what we're talking about here. Yeah. Can you just talk to me about being a part of this show and this production?
Absolutely. It's really been such a treat to see all of the audience members bring such a love for the story, because you see across generations, people who grew up with the movie have this childlike delight that they've brought from sometimes their childhood, and then younger audience members as well, seeing it either for the first time, or they've been introduced through Wicked, or they've been introduced through parents, whatever. It's really a delight to see them light up when, you know, there's so much childlike delight in the story. Absolutely.
And I think, you know, seeing it first as a Wizard of Oz, as most of us probably did, and then seeing Wicked has a certain flair to it. But there's going to be now a group of kids
I know who
have seen only Wicked first.
And it's wild.
Yeah, and so this is cool because it really is such a neat throwback. And from my understanding, an all ages family friendly show. So we'll talk more about that in just a moment. But Connor, if you wouldn't mind, talk to me about how you prepared for your roles, because you guys actually do duality here. You're Hickory and the Tin Man. So if you wouldn't mind telling me first about your preparation there.
Yeah, well, of course, it's based on the book by L. Frank Baum. So both of us read that as inspiration.
Good for you.
And, you know,
the book's always the best.
The book's always the best. And there's backstory in the book that doesn't get covered in the film.
Oh.
You know, the Tin Man has a Munchkin maiden that he fell in love with that is not covered at all in the movie. So it kind of helps to know the backstory when you're going into it.
Yeah. Wow.
And the script is very similar to the film. So watching the movie and being inspired by those performances and then bringing our own heart, brains, courage to the production. Yeah.
Oh man, that's wonderful. I never once thought, oh, it's a book, you could get some more backstory, but that makes your characters more colorful.
For sure, more
there's
layered. A lot in there, more layered.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'd like to ask the same of you, Rafe, just in the preparation.
Yeah, same kind of thing, you know, reading and looking. I wanted to think about how, you know, movement quality of this scarecrow who has allegedly no joints. And so I was thinking a lot about, you know, how would I move if I had no, you know, control over my body? Sure. And luckily my limbs kind of flop around anyways, so that was a real delight. So those are the kinds of things I was thinking about.
And the exact opposite for you, Connor, because you're very like 1980s style robot. This is really fun. I love it. All right, anything surprising, Connor, that you've learned about this show while rehearsing it and while putting it together?
I think when you think of The Wizard of Oz, you think of your childhood, you think sort of innocent and maybe simplistic a little bit, but to dig into it, it's quite the challenge to make it not a caricature. You know, obviously these are not real, we're a Tin Man and a Scarecrow, but to still bring your humanity and a certain truthfulness to it that I think really brings it alive, especially because we're interacting with the audience in this show.
Oh, neat.
So, you know, we have to look at them in the eyes and really convey what we're feeling, and not just be a carbon copy.
I
cut
get
out.
it. Yeah, kind of the overacting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like just
It's
doing an impersonation of the film.
Yeah.
We need to bring our own stuff to it.
Your own stuff. That
Yeah.
really makes sense, yeah. And Rafe, there are a lot of key players in the show. Of course, we've got Dorothy. You told me there are not one, but two real Totos.
Two real Totos, Harvey and Penny, shout out. They're both really adorable. Yeah, it's a wonderful cast. Everyone is just bringing so much talent and excitement and joy to the story. Ryan Everett Wood, who's playing the lion, so funny. Maura Poe, who's playing Dorothy, is just wonderful. Still in school.
No way.
Yeah, 20 years old.
Good for her.
Yeah. So it's
and
just a
so
great cast.
it's a small portion of y'all that we've brought in from New
Yes.
York, but the rest is local
A lot of
talent?
local Austin people, so it's really wonderful to have that community. I think the ZAC is very big about building community within the Austin area, and especially this show, because it's interactive in the way that it's been staged, you do feel that community, and people really feel like they're part of this story, that it's their narrative too.
I think the fact that it is interactive is something I wasn't expecting.
Totally.
So changes the audience experience a little bit. And there's an ASL performance that I want to make sure I mention on September 6th, which is fantastic. But so Connor, what would you say about, the ages of people who you would suggest to walk through the door, or who would enjoy this show the most?
Yeah, I think 5 and up is a good age range, and we've got everybody. We've got people bringing their grandkids, and we see the grandparents be just as into it and childlike as the grandkids. So it's really an all ages family community extravaganza.
Extravaganza. What a nice word. And Rafe, my final question for you is, of course, with so many, versions of this story going on out there right now, why would you suggest someone comes and sees this production at the ZAC Theater?
I think what we've done that's really unique is this 360-degree staging. We are all around the Topworth Theater. Audience members can sit on stage if they want to.
Whoa.
Audience members can also get a little participation bag where they can throw apples at me and Dorothy. They blow bubbles when Glinda comes in. So it's really a unique experience in that way that they can
When
be
you're
a part
saying
of it.
childlike, now I'm getting it.
There's some more.
Get up and dance.
Yes, get up and dance with us. There's a hoedown on the Yellow Brick Road.
Oh my goodness, I'll never get my husband up off the ground, but I might do it.
Absolutely.
It was so much fun to speak to the two of you. Thank you for being here and putting on this wonderful show for us. And break a leg.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, guys, don't miss out on this incredible production of The Wizard of Oz. Get your tickets and more information by visiting zactheater.org and follow along on social media at ZAC Theater. The following portion of Studio 512 is sponsored by Kunik Orthodontics. Creating beautiful smiles since 1991 using customized treatment plans tailored to each unique patient. We're talking today about Kunik Orthodontics with Beth Hoyle, treatment coordinator. Beth, talk to us about Kunik and who it is y'all serve, because I was a little bit surprised by your statistics.
Kunik, Dr. Randy Kunik, an orthodontist here in Austin, has been in private practice for over 30 years, specializes in both children and adult orthodontics. So here we probably have about 70 to 80% of our patients are adults, ranging from their 20s up to their 80s.
Wow. Y'all are a top 1% Invisalign Blue Diamond Plus. Talk to me about what's new with Invisalign and if that's the only straightening option you use.
So Dr. Kunik, when we meet with a new patient, every patient that we meet, it's different. The case is different. The bite, the alignment. And so some cases are not a good candidate for Invisalign, and so we'll go in that toolbox and we'll get the traditional braces, or we'll design a plan, what we call a hybrid, where it's a little mix of both tools, the brackets and the Invisalign. And that is the only clear aligner Dr. Kunik does use in his practice.
Behind us is this iTero machine. Is that what it's called?
It's called the iTero, and they've come up with a few models.
Okay.
This has replaced, if you go down memory lane, the gooey molds, the impressions.
I hated them, that pink goop.
Yes, so this takes our assistants, which are fantastic, about 2 minutes to take an upper and a lower scan with what we call a bite registration. And then this scan is what we submit either to Invisalign or to our bracket lab or another lab for a particular appliance.
When I think of orthodontics, I think of getting those teeth straight, nice and bright and white,
Yep.
right? But there are health benefits here that we want to highlight.
Orthodontic treatment, one, it's function, two, it's for the overall health of the teeth. The aesthetic part, we always say, to be candid, that's the last thing on our mind. That's just the icing on the cake. But it's health, it's function, and three, we don't want it to get worse.
So I know that orthodontic treatment traditionally has not normally been seen as something super affordable,
Right.
but you're doing what you can to help folks pay for it.
Yes, it's an elective field, and so they're coming in for a reason. And so then it's my job to work with that patient to design that financial contract that works in their budget.
Sounds good to me, Beth. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Kunik Orthodontics has 3 Austin locations: downtown, Domain Northside, and Westlake. Make an appointment today at kunikorthodontics.com. The preceding portion of Studio 512 was sponsored by Kunik Orthodontics.
Keep it together.
Welcome back, everybody. Every month, he's sharing fresh bites and his favorite Austin foodie finds. Joining us now is food blogger, host, and our very good friend, Ali Khan. And I got really lucky, Ali. I found some hats in our, you've made yours like Napoleon.
Yeah.
Some hats, mine's a pizza in some of our old Studio 512 stuff. So you very gamely put yours on, and here we are to talk about food. Good morning.
You know, some things are just destiny, and this is clearly a moment in time.
Yeah, because his shoes say tacos on them.
And tequila.
And tequila on the other. I
Friday.
wasn't going to mention that, but
I was.
they do go well together.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, let's talk about some great bites from the last month or so. So Chinese, by the way, my husband and I did try it. Thrilled that so much of it was gluten-free.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't feel horrible after
Yeah.
consuming it. That
Yeah.
made me really happy.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's one of the magical things now, I think, is people are really focused about health. It's like, oh my God, this rice is gluten-free. And you're like, but it always was. But, you
Right.
know, knowledge is power, and I think so is
But
great.
with the breading of the chicken and some of those other sauces and things.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true. I forget about this
Yeah.
stuff too. So yeah, So Chinese. This got on my radar. They did a collab with Black's Barbecue, so one of the most old school barbecue places in Texas. Brought their brisket to So Chinese, did a brisket fried rice, and I think much like this hat, it was meant to be. I've had brisket fried rice at other restaurants before. What I think actually works quite well is, you know, Black's is old school, so they're using a brisket that's like a USDA choice. It's a bit of a leaner cut, right? And so when you're having brisket with fried rice, some of that super high-end premium brisket can be so rich, a little overwhelming. Little
true.
goes a long way.
Yep.
I ate the entire container of fried rice over the course of a day and a half, but the lean brisket from Black's I thought did really well with this brisket fried rice. And talk about convenience, So is obviously delivery or takeout only, but great way to get your barbecue and your Chinese fix right to your door.
And they've just opened one in my neighborhood, so I'm a big fan right now.
Are you
Okay.
at Slaughter? Is that you?
Yeah.
I revealed
yeah.
her location, but that's a good one because
That's
that's
a
where
good-
I went to. That's when they were like, please come to our
Okay.
Slaughter location.
Okay, smash burgers. We're always going to talk about one at least. This one's coming from a Korean joint.
Yes, exactly. So this place is just a little bit up north to me. It's like in a Burnett Anderson area.
Okay.
So it's called Gochu. It's a Korean eatery. They do a smash burger, and here's the thing: it's a Monday special.
Okay.
So they only serve it on Mondays, and it's a killer deal because the burger's $12 and it features 2 quarter-pound smash patties.
Wow.
And they make their own kimchi. They make it once a week. So it's got this ferment on it that's a little bit light, really crisp. And just like Korean barbecue, the acidity and that funk you get from that fermented cabbage works so well on a burger. $12, it's a handful. I need both hands to hold this burger. And their wings, oh my God, their wings are very good.
Looking at the pictures of the wings.
They're very good wings. They're very good wings
Delicious
too.
looking. Okay, you said you and I are both guessing here. Sandra chai? Sandra chai?
Soundra's about right.
Okay.
That's why I picked it. Okay, so I think a lot of people, myself included, think about chai and you're like, oh, let's just go get a chai latte at Starbucks.
Oh,
But
I
it
do
turns
love a chai
out,
latte.
you know, chai is a popular beverage in a little country called India and its surrounding neighborhood.
Oh.
And in India, chai is a culture, right? So when you have the tea with all the aromatics and the milk, you also have it with food. So Sonder Chai basically aims to do that. You can go there during the mornings and they do like a brioche bun that's toasted and then smeared with butter and sugar.
Ooh.
It's basically like a donut, but not a donut, you know? It's like a more modest donut. And then at night, they do savory stuff as well. They do chapli kebabs, and both apparently are fair game for chai. So it's a great little chai fix, but straight out of Mumbai.
I love it.
If you feel my chai.
I do love chai.
Right.
Okay, we're in our last 2 minutes here.
Okay.
I want to make sure I hit on Waylon J's and then Morisco's.
Okay, so really quickly, Waylon J's, just when you think we have had enough premium barbecue joints, Waylon J's comes along. These guys actually partner with Salty South, so they're sharing the same location. They're only open on the weekends. Now, you're gonna expect to get like that really premium brisket, the stuff that makes like the Texas Monthly top 50, top 25, if you will. But I'll tell you the real deal there, they do frozen old fashions. Oh, yeah.
I've never even heard of one.
Oh, no, you will. You need to get to Waylon J's. That single-handedly set me up for a great Sunday fun day. So, great cocktails and great barbecue.
Sounds good to me. And then Morisco's La Carreta?
Yeah, I think so, too. We're winging it. But
We're winging it.
But
and
Morisco's...
eating wings along the way.
Exactly. We'll get some wings and we'll go to the seafood truck. So this is out in East Austin, Ceviche Food Truck. The owner is from Nayarit. That's where he's doing this style of ceviche from. It also has his Sinaloan touches. Real talk, I say all this because this reminds me of getting ceviche when I've taken vacations to Mexico. It's BYO. It's a great place to BYO, bring some friends, share the ceviche, and they have a dish there called aguachile that's usually incredibly fiery, and I love it.
Yeah.
But he actually tames the chiltepin pepper, which is this, it looks like a little green peppercorn,
Yeah.
but it's red, a little peppercorn, and it's usually very fiery, but he actually tames it down a bit. The quality of this ceviche and aguachile botanas are something you'd expect at some of the more higher end places in town, but it's BYO and it's still hot out and it's actually worth eating outside for because the food cools you down.
Yeah. Well, and even just looking at the pictures, I mean, they also take a lot of care. Orchids on top,
I know.
all of that stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So some really fun stuff this month, Allie. We'll have to leave it there, but thank you very much, my friend. And I love every single time the camera has cut to you in that hat. We're wearing these from now on. Everybody get used to it.
All day.
All right, for more foodie recommendations, follow Ali on social media at AliKhan Eats, or you can visit his website, alikhaneats.com. The following portion of Studio 512 is sponsored by Austin Telco Federal Credit Union. Hey, are you thinking about adding a sparkling new pool or maybe finally building your dream garage? Pamela Cotton, Vice President of Member Services at Austin Telco Federal Credit Union, is here to talk to us about financing improvements through a home equity loan. Pam, lovely to see you. Why should homeowners consider using a home equity loan for building projects, something like a garage or a pool?
Absolutely. So the home equity loan is going to be better for you because you're going to have a lower interest rate because there's collateral for the loan. Unlike a personal loan where there's no collateral, the rates are going to be much higher. So that's the first advantage. You're going to have predictable payments, meaning you know exactly how much you're going to borrow, what those payments are going to be over the term of that loan. And because it's such a big project, you're going to have longer repayment terms, which makes that payment more manageable for you, right? And then potential tax benefits. We always say consult your tax advisor, but the interest that you pay on that loan could be tax deductible. So there's another advantage there. And then you're going to increase the home value by doing an add-on, improving the garage, anything that's improving that home, it's going to increase the home value, which if you decide to sell it, that's going to be to your advantage as well.
All right, Pam, what are some considerations homeowners should keep in mind when planning home improvements with something like a home equity loan?
Yeah, so cost estimation is going to be important. Think about what you want to borrow, how much you're going to need, so you'll know what the cost is going to be, what those payments are going to be. In Texas, you can only have a home equity once every 12 months to get a new one. So you want to get everything in at once, and that will determine what those costs are going to be. And budget. What can you afford? Do these things have to happen now, or do they need to wait till later? Always look at your budget, know what you can afford. And then future planning. Look at how technology changes. So be forward thinking. Are you going to have an electric car? Do you need to get that type of equipment in your garage and things like that? So you always want to plan for those as well.
Some key steps maybe that homeowners should take when considering home renovations using a home equity loan.
Yeah, so if you're going to use the home equity loan, calculate that equity amount. In Texas, you can only borrow up to 80% of the home value.
That's still a lot though.
It's quite a bit, and that's a good advantage, especially if you've been in your home for a while. You're going to have a lot of equity, but only up to 80% of that value, including your mortgage. That home equity is added into that as well. And then consider peak and off-peak season. If you want a pool, don't go get it in the summertime. Get an off-season where you're going to have more availability. It'll probably be less expensive as well. So you want to consider that. And then exercise your due diligence. You want to get multiple quotes, even if it's somebody that has been recommended to you. Check out some other vendors, get those quotes, and see which one is going to be best for you.
Sounds good to me, Pam. Thank you for your expertise as always.
Thank you.
To learn more about all of the services Austin Telco Federal Credit Union has to offer, visit atfcu.org. The preceding portion of Studio 512 was sponsored by Austin Telco Federal Credit Union. Welcome back, everybody. Liz Garten-Scanlon is a local Austin author and a prolific one at that. She has created more than 20 picture books for kids, including, guess what, a Caldecott winner called All the World. She's here to tell us about her newest release called Big Little Baby, and we're happy to have her. Liz, good morning.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Always love to put local talent on a pedestal. Let's talk, if we can, first and foremost, just dig right into it. Tell us about your newest book, Big Little Baby, and what it's about.
Okay, I'm so happy. This book just came out in August. Big Little Baby, illustrated by Trudy Tran, with Rise, a Penguin Random House imprint, and it is a board book. It came straight for babies and toddlers to board book form, and it is based on the game that parents and caregivers play with babies, where you say, "How big is baby?" "So big." It's not 100% based on it, but that was my jumping off point.
Sure, and kind of the idea here is that a small package.
Yep.
Right, but a big life change.
Small package, big life change. Small package, big impact. Small package, big love.
Big love, and that's a wonderful thing to mention. I'm so glad you brought up the fact that it came out directly as a board book, because my question to you off camera was, does that mean that we can drool on it? You said that's kind of the idea.
It's built for drool. So all of my other books, this is my first book I've had come directly to board book. So it's aged a little bit younger. All of my other books have started as picture books or chapter books. And the beauty of a board book is it doesn't have to be on a shelf or read to children. It can be handled, and they can attempt to tear it. They can learn how to turn pages.
Yeah.
Good luck. They're not going to rip it. But it's really how living with the physical body of a book is introduced to kids.
I think that's great, and we have so many statistics of, for example, Book Spring, local nonprofit organization, talking about how important it is to own your own books.
Yeah.
And so this is a great example of, this can be yours, you can drool, you can color.
Exactly.
And yet still you can learn something from it, because mom and dad can help you, understand what's happening in the book. And so I did want to ask why you wanted to focus on this topic specifically.
So one of the things that I loved when my babies were little was games that required no equipment, which include, other than the people playing.
Right.
So peekaboo and patty cake and ride a cock horse on your knee. And how big is baby?
Yeah.
And I just think it capitalizes on what happens between a baby and a caregiver, which is that just connecting is entertaining and is play. And so this book kind of bounces off of that idea, like we've got what we need right here.
Absolutely. And another thing, I mean, I wish that I had dragged some statistics along with me, because again, that interaction alone continues to grow babies' brains.
Yep.
It's really good for them in their socialization skills.
Yep.
Like this is the sort of stuff I hear when we have doctors come through all the
Yeah,
time.
there's a lot about reading to babies and children, and a lot of people think you have to wait until a child is older to understand, and really it is the rhythm of the voice and the turning of the pages and the fact that you can't multitask as a parent when you're reading. You can't be looking at your phone or doing something else, and babies know that.
I'm so glad you said rhythm of the voice, because you're a poet as well, and so a lot of what you write has rhyming to it.
Yep. This book is written in rhyme.
I was wondering.
Babies and little kids use rhyme for memory. So a lot of times a child will say, I can read this book. And they can't really, they're still pre-readers, but they have memorized it because rhyme is easy to memorize. And so it just serves as a hook for little brains.
Yeah, it's kind of that first step to literacy.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. I want to just touch on some of your other titles, including your Caldecott winner. I mean, when I was in elementary school, y'all, the Newbery Award for writing and the Caldecott Award for like outstanding picture-based book.
Yep.
I mean, those were the awards to win.
Yeah.
For an elementary librarian. They, really highlighted that stuff for us. So one, how did it feel to win? And then two, talk to me a little bit about kind of the other topics that you cover in some of your other books.
Yeah, so All the World came out in 2009, so that was quite a while ago. And obviously so thrilling. The Caldecott and the Newbery Awards are given by librarians, which, they're our greatest heroes. So that is a real thrill. And the greatest thing about it is that it gets your books into more hands and in front of more families and groups of children. So that was really thrilling for me and still is. In fact, All the World is my other book that has now been turned into a board book, which is really a treat.
I don't want to say more drool, but like, yay!
More drool.
Kids can play around with it. We're in our last minute here.
Yeah.
So I did want to talk about your book, people, upcoming reading that you're going to be doing. This is coming up next weekend. Tell me a little bit about that.
So Austin is, we are overrun with fabulous independent bookstores, and Book People is one of them. And I'm doing their story time next Saturday, September 13th at 10:30 in the morning. I'll be reading Big Little Baby. I think I'll probably be reading All the World and signing books and drooling with the audience. So all droolers welcome.
All droolers welcome. A great opportunity to meet a wonderful local author. Liz, thank you so much and congratulations.
Thanks, Rosie, for having me.
Of course.
Thank you.
Liz is not only the author of many books, she does visits, events, including teaching and speaking engagements. Find out more about her at lizgartenscanlon.com. ACC football on the CW kicks off Saturday with a Texas-sized showdown between Baylor and SMU. Joining us to talk about it is 12-year NFL veteran and Super Bowl 46 champion, no big deal, with the New York Giants, Will Blackman. Hello, Will.
Hey, what's happening? How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, and we're happy to have you this morning. What can viewers expect to see from this matchup, Will?
Yeah, I mean, you led off with the perfect word is Texas size, which means massive, which means I expect a lot of points. For the bettors out there, I think the over is like 65 points, and so I'm thinking something maybe even north of that. You're looking at, let's start with Baylor. They have a really high-powered offense. Quarterback Sawyer Robertson, despite losing against Auburn, he had over 400 yards passing, 3 TDs, no interception. So was able to get some production there. I mean, not just some, but a ton. And they have that spread offense where they're able to just toss the ball all around the field. And then you look at SMU, where at home recently they've been averaging over 45 points at home. And so you're going to have two offenses that are high powered. It's right now I checked the temperature and it's about 100 degrees in Dallas already. So I got to pack accordingly. And I will say to the defenses, make sure they hydrate accordingly because it's going to be a fast paced game.
I was actually at Baylor versus Auburn this last weekend because my husband went to Auburn, and I will say I was pretty impressed with how Baylor played, so I agree with you. I think this is going to be a really interesting matchup. I want to know what storylines in the ACC you're also keeping a close eye on this season.
Yeah, I would say the biggest storyline is like who's gonna take over and be champion. I think like right now everyone picked Clemson preseason to be the winner, but I just feel like anyone can rise up. SMU came in last year and immediately made a huge impact. Entering the conference, and then just teams making decisions. I don't want to say for agency, but via transfer portal, and really try to beef up what they're doing. Florida State had issues last year at quarterback, and ironically at Boston College did too. But the kid Tommy Castellanos goes to Florida State. He made some preseason noise saying that Alabama is not the same without Saban, and able to back it up with a huge win versus Alabama. And then you have Miami getting it done against Notre Dame, who just last year competed for a title. And then Clemson, they had a tough loss versus out of conference opponent. LSU, and then obviously the biggest storyline was Belichick. Him coming to college football, which I did not think he was really going to do it, and he did. And he was on the sideline with his cut off sleeves and all. So it's going to be a crazy, exciting season, and I'm super thankful that I am going to be with the CW calling these games. So it's never going to be a boring week.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of things flipping around. We'll just have to see who comes out ahead. Okay, I'm going to use some fancy words that I've only learned in the last couple of years. Conference realignment. My husband calls it the dreaded transfer portal. NIL, of course. It's really changed the landscape of college football. Some, I think, for the better, and some, I think, for the worse. Could you just reflect on some of these things for me? Because I know, for example, you were a college player, probably helped, wouldn't it have, to have had a little money in your pocket?
A little. I mean, my gosh, something. Something. I remember being a college student. Being one of the main players, and fighting to get Doritos or chicken fingers. Now I pull up the campus. These kids are driving Porsches and BMWs and Escalades. And getting deals. So but it's cool because for the hours these kids put in, how hard they work, they deserve to get something.
Yeah.
It's just the tough thing is you have these schools where it's like, hey, if you don't have the right people in your corner financially, then it's hard to compete. And then for conference realignment, these networks are linking up with these conferences and getting $1 billion deals. And so these schools, if they have an opportunity to go ahead and do it, by all means, like, go do it. And that's what you see going on. So, it's a money thing. And, it's a matter of teams and schools adjusting. And then, the traditional fans, eventually that's just going to be the way it is. They're going to have to adjust to that as well.
Yeah. Do you see, Will, I don't want to call it an opportunity, but the possibility that we might create an above class and a below class when it comes to football, just because we're purely based on donors' ability to fund these students who are now asking for big dollars?
Yeah, you might even see franchises. You might even see owners end up getting their own teams. And there's been talks about them forming their own league, what have you. Where it ends up being like a minor league, an amateur league type of deal. So, anything, this constant conversations is ever changing, and that's what you've been seeing. That's why we are where we are now. So you just never know. But it's at the end of the day, football is still going to be football, still going to be played, and it's still the game we all love.
Still going to be crazy watchable. It seems like they're starting to get us every day of the week, and it helps to have someone like you who's so plugged in. But not only are you plugged in on football, I hear you have an off-the-field passion. So talk to me about how, of all things, you turned into a sommelier.
Well, that's what made me nervous when you said you learned some big words, and I was like, oh, she's gonna throw some wine.
Oh, no, don't worry about that.
Words. There you go. No, I got really into wine when I was still playing in the NFL when I was my younger years with the Packers, and then yeah, I got passionate, wanted to learn more, started studying, started taking some certifications to learn more. So the WSET, which is Wine and Spiritual Education Trust, started learning more about that, and I ended up taking level 2. Past that, I took level 3, and then I did the other school is the Quarter Master Sommelier, which is like you know this guys who are trained to be the master sommeliers or the ones that actually work at restaurants, they usually go through this school as well. And I took the intro and certified, and then I went to Sonoma State and took the wine business certification. So I really wanted to learn and get really my hands dirty because I'm like I want to get into this space. I didn't want to just be another former pro athlete who's just out there putting his name on stuff. Like I'm actually doing the work. So I started my own company called the Wine MVP, which is Wine Concierge Company, where we do private tastings, dinners, events, trips, like you name it. And then I just recently launched my own wine called Blackman Cellars.
Oh, would
It's
you look at that?
yeah, it's a red blend from Napa Valley. You go to blackmansellers.com. Uh, $70. That's a great deal for Napa grapes.
It is. I've been to Napa in the last few years. I can say that is a really good
Me, you know what
deal.
I'm saying? Yeah, that was a good deal there for what you're getting. You got Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Petit Verdot, Malbec, Rutherford, and Coombsville grapes. So yeah, I'm super excited about it. I've been wanting to do this for years, and I was finally able to get a cool person to work with to help me.
That sounds amazing. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations. And by the way, double congratulations because I know level 3 is basically impossible to arrive at. I've
They're
talked
all
to people
impossible.
who-
They're all impossible. This is the hardest thing I ever done. Yeah, I'd rather go against Tom Brady than study for these tests.
Oh my goodness, the football stuff was a piece of cake in comparison. Well, then, big congratulations to you. Of course, thank you so much for your time. And hey, I can't wait to try that red. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, guys, catch the game between the Bears and the Mustangs Saturday at 11 a.m. on CW Austin. And stay right there to see Fresno State versus Oregon State, NASCAR from St. Louis, and San Diego State versus Washington State at 9 p.m. Hey, we are happy to be able to offer you some help if you're out there searching for jobs. KXAN has partnered with ZipRecruiter to help you find thousands of job openings in Austin and around the country. Just go to kxan.com/jobs where you can search thousands of new postings every single day. Check it out right now and get started on the path to your next career. Content segments during Studio 512 were paid for by Kunik Orthodontics and Austin Telco Federal Credit Union.